Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macie Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Good morning, my podcast listeners. Hello. Welcome back to Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm Macie Renee. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a self-mastery coach. And if you come here all the time and support the podcast, I love you. I appreciate you. And yeah, I'm just so thankful to have all of you here. How was your Christmas? Hopefully good. Christmas Eve, Christmas, definitely weird this year. It's funny. Of course, I'm almost 30. Well, I will be 30 in 2021. I shouldn't say I'm almost 30. I've got a little bit. But, for my entire life, my tradition was always to be with my entire family on my mom's side on Christmas Eve. My oma, my opa, we did the same Christmas Eve traditions for even before I was born, so like 40 something years. And it was always my most look forward to day. I don't know if the grammar was so good with that, but it was always the day that I looked forward to most. That sounds better. And when they passed away, so my opa passed away in 2017, and then my oma passed away in 2019. And things have just never been the same. They were really the glue that held things together. There's been a lot of transitions and changes in my family, split ups, divorces, all of the things. And so life has looked a little bit different the last 2 years. Last year on Christmas, I was in Los Angeles with my husband. He had work over there, and we stayed throughout Christmas and then traveled to Las Vegas to see his cousin. And so that was really weird. That was like the first time in my entire life where I wasn't with my family on Christmas Eve. And it was the same thing for, this year. I wasn't with my family on Christmas Eve. A small portion of us got together on Christmas Day. Maybe that's a different story for a different day because that was quite interesting. But it's weird. So if you're grieving the loss of normalcy, whether that was just this year due to COVID or you've lost loved ones for various reasons, COVID included, or you're just feeling dynamic shifts, maybe you've gone through split ups or divorces, or there's just a lot of changes, I'm sending you all of the love because I know how challenging it can be when you have things that you look forward to or traditions that you've loved and those things don't get to happen, especially when maybe they're far and few between if you don't get to see and spend a lot of time with your family, which is kind of my case. We see each other for major holidays most of the time. So anyways, you guys, let's get started. Oh, wait, before we get started, I obviously took last week off. I just wanted to be able to really lean into the holidays and relax and listen to my body and mind. And although I took off from the podcast, I didn't take off working. I have been working on something so exciting, a Becoming Her workbook. And I have to tell you guys that the tenacity and grit I have had to have to complete this workbook has been incredible. Like the growth process of just creating it has been huge. I started this workbook in, I believe, June or July of this year. And I would work on it every few days. And I was thinking about who is the woman that's going to get this book. Like, of course, they're going to be the women in Becoming Her, but like, what does she need? What does she need to have at her fingertips? Where can she look and, find everything that she's learning, have all the tools that she needs, revisit concepts that maybe feel a little bit challenging, be mindful when she's using this. And so I have been working on this for a very long time. About 6 months. And I finally, about 2 weeks ago, no, maybe even just a week ago, you guys, finished this workbook, a labor of love, 95 pages later, all hand design, like everything designed from scratch and not in Word document, like using fancy, document creators and all of the things. Like there's been so much thought that has gone into this workbook. And I decided that instead of doing what I normally do for my smaller workbooks like Inner Mastery or my money program, instead of taking them to like an Office Depot or Staples where it is a bajillion dollars, I was going to hire a professional company because these workbooks are so special to me that I didn't just want to print them. I didn't just want a self-serve printer. And also, there's benefit to buying in bulk. It's still expensive because you're hiring a third-party company, but I wanted something where I could feel really proud of the quality of these workbooks because they're going to be a bonus for anybody that joins Becoming Her anytime now, if you're listening now, all the way to January 16th. So you get one of these for free if like the physical actual copy instead of something that you download and print yourself. You get a physical one if you sign up for Becoming Her by January 16th, 2021. So I had to submit a proof to the printing company. And basically the last 5 or 6 days, because the goal was to get this done before 2021, right? Like to be able to mail these out to people who sign up so that they don't miss several of the tools that are going to benefit them from the hitting the ground running January 1, right? So I needed these to be delivered in December. So the last 5 days leading up to finishing these, I was working until like 3 and 4 a.m. I'm not kidding. I would start looking at the workbook, working on pieces at 6 p.m. or something, and then I would not go to bed until 3 and 4 a.m. So when I tell you labor of love, I seriously mean it. I submitted the proof to the printing company, and they have to give me the okay, like, hey, these look great, we're going to print them. The lady gets back with me, and she says, hey, I got your printing proof. I'm going to look through this and I'll send you another follow-up email about getting started. And then she sends me a follow-up email and it says, my workbooks have been denied because the dimensions of the workbook did not match the dimensions of their printing equipment. And the solution was just redo it and then get back with me. You guys, when I tell you that everything I teach you on this podcast came into play, like emotional intelligence, not freaking out, knowing that my thoughts create my emotions and that my thoughts are also responsible for my results. Like I stared at the screen for 5 minutes looking at this email, internally sobbing and dying on the inside. Like it took me 6 months. This is 95 custom pages. It doesn't fit the dimensions of their printer. It's not like a Microsoft Word document where you can just go in and change it to, 8.5 by 11 or whatever. No, like each page has custom squares and places to write and, charts and all of these different things that were outside of the printing dimension. And that means that because it's not I'm not able to go in at mass and just click a button and change it. Like I have to go in and reformat every single page of the 95 pages. I about died, but I got my mindset together and I was like, you know what? I'm determined to get this done for the woman that needs it. So I took 6 months of work that was denied and I got that horrific email at like 10:30 in the morning, and I worked until about 6:30 at night redoing all 95 pages. Submitted it, held my breath. Like by the time I submitted it, they were closed. So they couldn't even tell me that night if what I submitted was great or that it was going to be approved. Like I just had to hold my breath and wait. And the next morning, I got the feedback that it was approved, that they were going to start working on them, and that I can expect the copies to be here by December 29th. So Make sure that you're following me on Instagram and Facebook because I definitely want to show you a glimpse of what these are going to look like. And if you've been eyeballing becoming her and you've been thinking, just not yet, let me tell you, 2021 is the perfect time to get started because, again, if you sign up by January 16th, 2021, you're going to get a free copy of this. So you don't have to go download it yourself, go to a printing company, have it printed, or anything like that. It's a bonus to signing up, and it has every tool to support you throughout the entire year inside Becoming Her. So everything that's coming down the pipeline in Becoming Her, everything that already exists in Becoming Her, there are places for you to thrive. There are systems put in place for you to thrive, and it's the perfect time to get started. I cannot wait to show you. And the last bit of exciting information, sorry, this intro is taking forever, is that this podcast was accepted on Pandora. So now people can listen on Pandora, which is a big deal in my book because Pandora has always been my favorite place to listen to music and to tune in, especially when I'm at the gym. So the thought that people will now be able to find me on Pandora is super exciting. So I was celebrating that and never got the chance to tell you, I don't think. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about dreaming. And the reason being is I love to talk about this when we're hitting the end of the year. I think I did a similar podcast episode last year around this time. And the reason I want to talk to you guys about it is because you cannot hit a target that you do not see. If you are not aiming for exactly what you want, the likelihood of hitting it is very, very slim. You have to be intentional about what it is that you want to create. And the start of the new year is when the energy is the highest and people are the most excited to set intentions, to decide who they want to be, how they want to grow, what they want to do. Now, I know that there are still some unknowns with COVID-19, and you may think, I don't even know what the year's going to look like. I don't even know what next week is going to look like. Things are changing rapidly. I completely understand, but the thing about it is that you have to set intentions based on what do you want to happen? Where do you want to put your energy? What would you like to see? Because there is power in that. There is energetic, vibrational power behind powerfully deciding what it is that you want to do, who you want to be, what you want to see, what you want to experience, how you want to live your life, how you want to think, the mindfulness, right? The actions, everything. And you get to create your life. You're the artist. You are the person holding the paintbrush to the canvas. And it gets to be whatever you want it to be. So what I've been working on the last few days is a dream board. Now, if you do not know what a dream board is, I totally understand. For me, this feels so common sense that I have to remember that I am possibly talking to some people that are very new to personal development, that have maybe never heard of a dream board or setting intentions or being intentional about goals. And so while it feels very common sense to me, and I kind of feel, to be honest, a little silly talking about it, I realize that not everybody does this because maybe you don't have a belief for it yet. I've talked about it in some other episodes, but when you're intentional about what you desire, something shifts inside of you energetically, and you can call it in. When you are crystal clear about the things that you desire, you call it in. I can't explain it. It's a universal principle. People call it the law of attraction. If you're a Christian, you can think God answers my prayers, and all of that to me is true. All of the above is true. When we are very clear and adamant about what we desire and we're willing to put the work behind it and trust and lean in and believe and surrender, things happen for us. And I think that a lot of the frustration that people feel when they're not getting their way is that they're focusing their energy on what they don't have rather than their energy on what they desire to have. They're focusing their energy on negative experiences that they're trying to get away from, but all of their energy is focused on the negative experience, so they keep experiencing more negative things. They find more evidence for those negative things. So shifting that takes some work. It takes some mindset work. And what the first step in doing that is knowing what it is that you want. What do you want out of your life? What do you want out of 2021? I like to personally create, when I do my dream board, kind of a 5-year vision plan, because I'm a huge dreamer. I'm a very elaborate dreamer. And while what happens is, a lot of times the things that are on your vision board come to fruition way more quickly than you could ever logically understand. But, the other piece of that is that it gives you something to look forward to and really learn where you're lacking in your beliefs, where you're lacking in your thought process, in your mindset. So I like to create a 5-year vision plan because I dream on such a large scale and I don't believe that there's a time limit. So while I think 1-year vision boards are great, sometimes people associate that with a deadline. And if they don't meet all of their dreams on the invisible deadline that they have set for themselves, like a self-imposed deadline, they get discouraged. And so I like to think of, within the next 5 years, what would I love to see? How would I love to be? What would I love to create? Like, what things excite me? And tonight on my Facebook Live, you guys know I'm doing 365 days of Facebook Live. All of the videos are public, so even if you don't actually have me as a friend on Facebook, you should be able to see them. Although I would love to be your friend on Facebook, because why not? Let's get to know each other, interact. Don't be a stranger. Don't be shy. I'm not going to bite or anything like that. I would actually love your interaction. But tonight I'm going to be sharing my previous dream board from 2017, where a lot of those things came to fruition. And I'm going to be sharing with you the dream board that I'm currently working on for what I'd like to see over the next 5 years, and just share those visions with you out loud. Many of them, maybe not all of them, but many of them, so that you can see how exactly to do this. Because when you create a dream board, you want to be able to feel it in your bones. You want to be able to get to a place where it feels as if it's already happened. So my first piece of advice is, 1, physically print the pictures and actually do the process of putting it on a canvas, on a poster board, on a bulletin, something that you can actually physically get your body, mind, soul, energy involved in. There is a process that comes along with finding the pictures that speak to you and getting inspired as you're creating this board and being very hands-on with your dream. Yes, you can find things that you like, snapshot them, and make a mini one to, put on your screensaver or your lock screen. But there's something about physically passing a dream board every single day and being reminded of what you're working towards. Like, even if you're just working on yourself, or things that you desire. Like, maybe you've listened to this podcast for a while and you think, yeah, I really think I'd like to be in Becoming Her one day, someday, blah, blah, blah. And one day, someday usually doesn't happen, right? Because we're not intentional about it. We're not mindful of how are we going to get it? How are we going to obtain that? What action steps do I need to take to get to that place where I'm ready to make that decision? And so on your dream board, for instance, you could cut out the Becoming Her kind of logo that I share, and put that somewhere, or just write out Becoming Her, or put on their group of women, like a community of women, something that reminds you of what you are aiming for and what you'd like to have. And you'd be surprised that when you do that, the universe comes in and supports you in ways that oftentimes doesn't make sense. Like, the money appears out of nowhere, or an opportunity appears out of nowhere, or there's just alignment things that happen. Like, you meet the right people at the right time in the right place in very bizarre ways that make no sense at all. And your dream that was on this piece of paper is suddenly, like, you're living it. You're suddenly living it. And I have so many examples of that, down to the kitchen that I desired before we were even thinking of moving into a house. And these kitchens were very much like what you would see on Pinterest and probably like $500,000 homes, right? Just the aesthetic that I really liked. White kitchen, to the ceiling countertop, or to the ceiling cabinets, a see-through cabinet to showcase really pretty things, whitish colored countertops, like aesthetically pleasing, gold fixtures, all of the things. Those are things that I desired when I was living in an apartment that had none of that. And, my dog Littles had like chewed half of the wall. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, when I get a house one day, I don't know when it's going to be, but these are the things that I want to see. And I cut out pictures of things that I loved and really desired and wanted. And when we began our house search, our very first house, we didn't have a big budget to work with. And I was looking at my dream board and thinking, oh my God, like all of these things that I have posted are homes that are way outside of our price range. It just makes no sense. And you guys, when I was on Zillow, which is one of my favorite pastimes, by the way, is like just getting on Zillow and looking at houses way outside my range. I was on Zillow and a house popped up within our budget that had the kitchen that I desired. I had to make one tweak, which was to switch out black fixtures for gold, but everything, to the ceiling cabinets, the glass see-through, cabinet to showcase my pretty glasses, and like all of it was there within our budget, like in a market where every house was selling quickly, in a market where not a lot fit our budget, in a market where most of the houses in our budget would need to be like demoed because they were like 1950s kitchens. Like I was mortified when we first started looking at houses. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not matching my vision board at all. And then all of a sudden the house comes, and there it is, and we were accepted for our offer, and it was in our budget, and it had everything that I really desired. So you never know how things are going to work out for you, but when you hold the vision and you surrender and you learn this process of knowing that everything you desire, it's already on its way and you're already the person that can have it, something shifts energetically and it is magnetized to you. It just comes in. And that is something that I want to teach more people, because I think when we hit like our mid-20s, we forget that it's cool to dream. Like we dream our entire childhood, and we're excited about things in childhood, and then we hit this stage of our life where it's like, okay, now I'm married, now maybe I have a family, I know what career I'm going to be in for the next 40 years, and I know how much money I'm going to make for the rest of my life, and this is kind of my destiny, and there's no point of dreaming of having a boat one day, or no point of dreaming of moving into a 4,000 square foot home, because I know what my husband makes, I know what I make, it just doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. And I'm here to tell you that if you listen to my podcast and you are someone who's thinking quote unquote realistically or logically, you're in the wrong realm of podcast listening, because you get to create whatever it is that you desire. Nothing is impossible. If you're listening to my podcast and you don't believe in possibility, then stay to learn it, or you're just in the wrong place. Because here, what I want to teach you is that your mind is what creates your result. Your mind is what translates into your thoughts, which then translates into your feelings. Your feelings are emotions. Your emotions become energy, and your emotions are an energetic signature. So if you're walking around in your life thinking, wah, 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 poor me, right? I don't have this, I don't have that, I would like to have that, it would be nice to have that, but it's never going to happen for me because blah, 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 it's just not realistic. There's no evidence to show me that it's possible, and good for so-and-so, they get to have whatever they want, and that's not realistic, that's not life. If that is where your thinking is, I can understand that. I used to feel that way. In my bones, I could always feel that I was meant for having all of the things that I desired. But I didn't see how. And sometimes when we don't see how, we become discouraged and then we stop dreaming. And I find that it really happens in our early 20s. We get wrapped up in everything we're doing. We get wrapped up in taking care of other people. We kind of lose who we are in putting so much of ourselves into other people, our husband, our children, our work, and we forget to dream and think about what we desire and what we want and what makes us feel alive and excited to live day to day. Like if you have, 20 years left or 5 years left or 30 years left or 50 years left or 70 years left, how do you want to be spending your time? Do you want to be traveling the world? Do you want to be able to just go more places? Would you like to be able to take 4 vacations a year instead of 1 vacation every other year? Do you want to be able to experience beach memories on the family? Do you want to have a picnic in a beautiful place somewhere in the world? Everything is possible, but first you have to see it. You have to envision it. One of the other things that was on my 2017 dream board that it blew my mind, I was just looking at it the other day, was a picture of Europe and a place in Europe. And it was because I desired to be able to travel to Europe, but I didn't know how, and I didn't know how that was going to be possible or when that was going to be possible. And that was my 2017 dream board. And I was thinking, it'll be probably within the next 5 to 10 years that I'm able to do this. It happened the next year. We were able to travel to Italy because at my husband's job, they were taking a work trip over to Italy for 10 days and they could bring a spouse. And we got married and we were able to take that trip. And I was just looking at that thinking, oh my God, Europe actually happened. When I put that on my dream board, I was thinking, 5-6 years down the road, maybe. I had no idea that the opportunity was going to present itself the following year, not even a year later after I made my dream board. Incredible, totally incredible. So you never know what is going to happen. And you can live your life in this negative headspace where you're in a victim mentality of poor me. It's never going to happen to me. It just doesn't seem possible. I can't travel that much because I've got kids. I can't travel that much because I've got school. I can't travel that much because of COVID. I can't travel. You can think all of those things, but remember that your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts create your results. Your thoughts create the emotion that become your energetic signature for what you attract in your life. So unless you're willing to take radical responsibility and learn how to shift your mindset, you're going to be creating from a place that doesn't have what you desire. If that's the headspace that you're in and that you continue to live in. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. There's always an opportunity to shift your thinking and call in more of what you desire. So get clear on what it is that you desire. Find pictures, get on Pinterest. A lot of us already have picture boards on Pinterest and things that we want to do, places we want to go, things that inspire us, foods we want to eat, certain glasses we want to drink out of because they make us feel good or whatever it is. People think that all the little things are silly, but they're actually not silly at all. You get to create what you want. So I dream of things all the time. I wanted these certain wine glasses, big, fat, huge wine glasses, because there's something about them that makes me feel kind of rich and fancy. And I saw them at TJ Maxx and I was like, oh my gosh, I really want those. But I just was like, you know what? You don't need any more wine glasses. Don't get them. And for weeks, you guys, I would go to TJ Maxx and I'd see them and I'd be like, oh, but I really, really want them. They just make me feel so expensive, and they weren't expensive glasses. They were seriously $13.99 for 4. I don't know, not super expensive. And they just made me feel a type of way. When I'm a huge elaborate dreamer in the sense that when I see something, I can almost picture my future self using it in the setting that I desire. So one of my carrots, and carrot means what you're chasing or what you're desiring. One of my carrots, and you never make fun of someone's carrot, or you never discourage someone's carrot, because it could be different from yours. Some people may want to grow their business to be able to buy a red convertible, and other people may want to grow their business or make more money or go back to school to make more money to be able to spend more time with their family, like maybe getting that next level of education allows them more time. And so everybody has a different carrot that they're chasing and that makes them feel, motivated or excited or inspired to go towards their goals. And one of my carrots is to be able to one day build my dream home from the ground up. And so this dream board that I'm going to be putting together later on today with all of my photos has a lot of the pictures that have been in my Pinterest for a very long time, that every time I look at them, I feel as if I'm there. I see it so clearly. I can imagine hosting, I can imagine cooking, I can imagine like family and friends and gatherings and the land that it would sit on. Like I can see all of that. And these wine glasses from TJ Maxx, when I saw them, it was like in my mind, I was immediately standing in the kitchen that's on my Pinterest board, serving people amazing wines. And finally, I broke down and I went to TJ Maxx. This is like 3 or 4 weeks later. And I was like, I'm just going to buy the glasses. And guess what? They were missing from where they had always been. And I started to panic. And I knew in that moment, like I have an emotional, energetic connection to these glasses because they actually make me feel that my dream is within reach. Okay, that it's not that far. And that's kind of the experience you're wanting when you're even looking through the pictures, is you want to feel something. So I walked around the store and I quite frankly was pretty depressed about it. And I walked past like the holiday, table that has like charcuterie boards they have on display or other wine glasses. And there they were. And not only was there the one box I had been staring at for weeks, but they had 2 boxes. So I was even more excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, 8 of us can have these big, huge, fat wine glasses. And I bought them both and I was so excited. And they're actually sitting behind me right now. I haven't opened them. I don't even know that I will open them for this home, because sometimes what I even like to do is collect things that my grandma used to say, she's putting them in her hopeless chest. Or her hope chest, she would say either one of them depending on her mood that day. And I would collect things that I would keep in that box for use when I was living out the dream that I had once posted from a picture. So when we bought this house that we're currently in, like many of the wine glasses, the champagne glasses, so many of the things that were in my quote unquote hope chest were for the moment where I just knew that I would have this space to display it, right? Like my beautiful little kind of partially open kitchen cabinet that showcases the glasses. Like that was such a strong vision for me that I thought, for years before I had the house, years before I even moved out of my grandparents' house and before I even had an apartment, I was buying things for when I had the house that I have now, because I just believed that it was mine years before it happened. And I never used the glasses. And I can't tell you the rewarding feeling of pulling out something that you have held on to for a moment that you just believed with all of your soul was going to happen. So do that with your dreams. If you go to a beach and you want it to be a certain beach, or you want to be able to go back to that beach, take some sand, put it in a container, take it home with you, set it on the desk. Print out pictures from your dream board and stare at them and look at them at least once every day, reminding you of why you're becoming the person that you're becoming, why you're believing what you're believing, or changing your mindset, or growing or evolving as a person. Like, do the work. It's so rewarding. It may sound cheesy to have this board full of things that to other people may make no sense, but you're calling it in when you're looking at those things each and every day, when you're believing in them. You can have things on there like certain amounts of money you want to bring in a month. You can have it as a goal that you would like to hit in a year's time, right? Or even just a milestone in your life. Like maybe you want to hit 6 figures. You don't know how you're going to hit 6 figures. You don't know how you're going to call in 6 figures, but maybe somewhere on your dream board it says 6 figures, or it says 100K, or it says whatever it says, and you put that there and you just keep doing the work. You just keep becoming, because one day you're going to look back at your dream board, even if it's 2 years from now, and you're going to say, wow, I didn't realize just how right Macie is. No, I'm kidding. You're going to just say, you're going to be blown away. I'm serious. Like, all jokes aside, like, you're going to be blown away when you look back at your dream board years down the road, and maybe you've forgotten about it, and you're like, this was 2 years ago. I'm going to put it away in a cabinet. And 3 years from that point, you pull it out of the cabinet. You would be mind blown. I was just that way just a few days ago when I was looking at mine. I'm like, wow, I wanted all of these things to happen, and I expected all of these things to happen, but I didn't realize how quick they had the possibility was for all of these things to happen. So make a dream board, you guys. Think about intentionally, like, what do you want to create in 2021? How do you want to respond no matter what happens in the world? Who do you want to be? What qualities do you want to have? Do you want to be more mindful? Do you want to meditate? Do you want to read more? Do you want to work out? Do you want to eat better? Do you want to dive into personal development? Do you want to hire a coach? Do you want to hire a mentor? Do you want to get in a group coaching program? Do you want to make more investments in yourself? Do you want to, travel? Do you want to be able to afford a certain pair of shoes, a certain wine glass? Nothing is too big or too small. Nothing is stupid. Nobody else has to agree with your dream board or understand your dream board. Only you have to do that. And the work is to become the person that believes it's yours way before you have it. And if you struggle in this area, I can help you in this area. This is one of my favorite things to do. And I can support you throughout your journey of becoming. That's what Becoming Her is all about. So if you're looking for a place to grow in 2021 and you're wanting to expand and just become the best and highest version of yourself, and you really want to be more intentional, and you want to be, able to strengthen your mindset and understand energy work and emotional intelligence, you want your relationships to be better, and you just want to evolve and grow, then I welcome you into Becoming Her, the coaching container for self-mastery. Hop in by January 16th and get a free copy of the Becoming Her workbook. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that. But you guys, I am wishing you the happiest of happy years yet. I hope that you're intentional. I hope that you dream big. I hope that you go for it. I hope that you surrender. I hope that you have grit. And I hope that you never stop believing in yourself and showing up for yourself and doing the work, because we have one shot at this thing called life, and we don't know what our time limit is. And I hope that you live every second that you have to the fullest with presence and intentionality, if that's even a word. And I just love you guys so much. Thank you for supporting me, my podcast, my business, just everything that you do. Thank you for being who you are, and I will see you guys again next week. Happy 2021. Bye, guys. Hey girl, did you know there's a place for you to continue this work outside of the podcast? Well, there is, and it's called Becoming Her. This is my online and ongoing coaching container for self-mastery. Everything takes place online and is the best value for your investment if you're wanting to work with me. This is for women that want to create lasting change by learning how to master themselves, their energy, their mindset, and how to do the deep inner work. It's a growing community where you're supported for life, with live online trainings, access to all previously recorded content, and 2 one-on-one coaching calls with me per month. It's an investment where you can rest assured you'll have everything you need at your fingertips, and where there's one primary goal: becoming your highest self. If this has been something you're looking for, join us and be a part of the growth. You can find out more information on MacieRenee.com.